All right. I don't know if we got anybody online yet, but what's going on? So we're going to pick up where we left off before the Thanksgiving break. Hope everybody had a good one. We were breaking down the matches from Naga, and we didn't get to a few of Mitch's final matches into Gi because iMovie sucks. So we can just pick up from there. There were a few good, there were some really good moments in his matches that I definitely wanted to revisit. And this is I think this was in his weight class. I don't think he did absolute.
Yeah, in the gi, I think you're right.
I'm gonna pick up the speed a bit while we get through these. So
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, at no point in any of his matches did he look at all off balance or at risk of being off balance. He was very stable.
Yeah, and he was doing a really good job there of immediately, well, not immediately, but starting to attack the grips, which I think I know a lot of our students, the beginners often, have trouble, especially if they're from a wrestling background or if they predominantly like no-gi. They get into someone's close guard, and besides the fact that they don't know how to break out of it, they end up getting stymied from any progress because they don't win the grip game, and that's really the first game you got to win. So the kid regards. Mitch has got his points.
He stands back up.
Yeah, which if the guy in black was one of our students, I would advise him against standing up with someone who has some obvious wrestling skill. I think right here, we're coming up soon, we get a really sweet takedown from Mitch.
Yeah.
And
this is me filming, so I think it goes out of
Yeah, well, you were too stoked to watching it, and it's hard to. I mean, anybody who's done it, I can't tell you how many of our matches I've captured. They've all gone out of frame at some point because I'm watching. There it is. So yeah, just a really nice the lateral drop. Let's go back to that. Hit it slow.
Yep.
So you can see he's on this. He's on the angle. He's not squared up with him. He's on this 90-degree angle, which is exactly where you want to be for the move Mitch is doing. The kid's got his head way out in front of his feet, which you can't get more. People think they're safe there because they're not falling over because it's easy to hip hinge forward, but you are completely out of your base and a hair away from being what I would consider off balanced. So here Mitch had set it up, and kind of like we saw in one of the matches from last time where he did that arm throw in no-gi, he completely throws himself underneath. This is where, I think I said it last time, but people, when they go to hit this the first 100 times they try this move, they don't realize that they really have to commit themselves and sacrifice the fall in order to get the guy to go with them, right? But
yep.
This kid's already off balance. Mitch,
look what he's doing with his left hand too. He's what I really like about this is that traditionally with the lateral drop, I would assume he would go with the strong overhook with his left, right? But here he's going over top of the shoulder, and he actually passes the gi from his right hand to his left hand. You see how he's pushing that gi through, and I think he grabs the gi with his left hand to get a secure grip like that. You see that?
Yeah, he does. That's clever. I like that. I mean, this isn't a move I go for often because I'm too light to make anybody fall over, or at least any of you fatties who are my main training partners. But yeah, that was a good eye, man. So yeah, he completely makes a good closed loop around them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Jeez.
that looks great. Good eye. So yeah, and it's funny, man. If you were standing by when that happened, you know, that dude hit the mat and let out a. You could tell he took every bit of that fall, and that's, you know, it's a cool takedown. Get some good points. You know, you get a lot more points in wrestling than you would in jiu-jitsu, but more than anything, it's disheartening when you're put down like that. So Mitch gets to restart in side control.
What I really like about the way that he adjusted from his no gi to his gi is like looking at his knee plate. So his knee is very much inside of the hips. You know, he's not playing that wide side control game anymore. He's very specific about where he's putting his knees.
Right. Yeah, he's not sprawled out in side control, which just leaves room for regarding.
Yep, exactly.
Speed it up a little bit. So good transition into mount. Really good base. I think if that kid had maybe practiced his bridges a little bit more, he could have taken Mitch over there, but you know, Mitch will bail on his grips and stay on mount if he wants to. Moving back to half guard, into guard, kind of an open guard the kid's playing.
I mean, it's important to note here, right? When we're talking about a points-based tournament like this, the way that Mitch is, like, he's very confident being able to pass guard, for him to allow his opponent to, you know, regard and get into that guard, that's not a bad spot for him, right? Like, it's you know, unless he goes against somebody who's got an advanced guard game, that can become troublesome. But in this game that he's playing here, he's literally just passing the dude's guard and inadvertently allowing somebody to regard and then getting 2 points again.
Yeah.
And he's just like racking points up by doing that.
Yeah, and he'll even, you know, he's no Mitch is gonna be a convert to that lapel shit. Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm glad you saw that. Yeah, you know, Mitch isn't shy about, you know, how he has to brush up on his submissions and learn a lot more. But you know, in a tournament setting, that was really nice. In a tournament setting, yeah, you gotta play strategy and you know, getting your points, letting the guy regard, getting your points. That's a good way to go about it. It was funny. He and Coach Mike and I were talking last night, and I'm gonna go back to something for a second, but he was talking about, you know, we were talking about just that, like submitting and like his game and all this stuff, and he says at one point, he's just like, you know, yeah, I know I can get a guy on the ground and he's like, and what, you know, I pass their guard and then I don't know what to do. And I'm like, well, let's just take a second to realize that you just said, I just passed their guard, as if it's something super easy. Whereas, you know, plenty of us without like a really good pedigree spent months and years trying to work on passing guard, and you know, Mitch is taking to it really well. So the thing I wanted to go back to here, this like throw by, Mitch and I were actually going over this yesterday, where he waits,
pops over.
Yeah, he gets this mutual collar tie. Guy's leaning into him. You can see his head's forward of his feet. And right here, so this, you know, watching footage of like, you know, Olympians doing this stuff, it's always hard to catch their footwork and their grip work here. But notice Mitch stays on the collar tie the whole time, which is important. And then his other hand that, you know, traditionally would maybe be grabbing a sleeve grip or something, he uses this over tie on the bicep. And I want to see if I could see what he does with that grip, because he was showing me two very good grips. This is one of them. Okay, so yeah, he just throws it by, goes to a tight waist. Another one, he was showing me, he just takes his wristwatch right behind the elbow and shucks it forward. So you're not, one, you can reach over, grab the tricep and throw it through.
Oh, yeah.
Two, you can push. So one's more of a pull, one's more of a push. And yeah, just about gets his hooks in. There he gets his second hook in. He's
got double unders.
He was showing me a nasty spladle from there, which is, you know, a really, just a degrading, painful pin that really good wrestlers like to use. And it's all set up from that throw by.
Yeah, that's not going to work on Mitch. I've tried it.
So yeah, good guard pass. Stays nice and tight. He's got a killer top pressure game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing too. Like he'll play that pressure passing, but you can't, like, don't be fooled. Like he will jump around you and jump over you and spin by you, and you like he'll pull some really agile stuff out of his hat when the pressure passing is getting disrupted. Like when he's losing the grip game, here he's going for his Americana to finish the match, mixing it up to kind of a straight armbar, back to an Americana.
Then he gets
there he gets it.
Yep.
Almost an Uchimata. Jumping guard. Nice and dangerous move for a white belt.
Yeah.
So yeah, this guy looked like he was hunting for a triangle or an armbar or something. Mitch did a really good job keeping his arms tight, not letting his limbs get isolated. So many white belts in that situation will panic and pull an arm out, leaving one behind. You know, and then they haven't worked on their triangle escapes enough from there. So Mitch, again, doing a good job keeping that knee in on the hip, which is besides the arm that was holding the leg, it makes it extremely difficult for his opponent to re-guard. Restart it to the middle. Speed this up a bit.
Are these saved for replay on Twitch? Yeah, they're saved for replay.
Yeah, and we're also putting them on YouTube. So I'm gonna cut this one out separate from the stream because I made a Naga breakdown part 1. This will be part 2 once we're done with Mitch, and then we'll get into the open mats after this. I think we only have maybe one more match for Mitch, 1 or 2.
This guy, he had so many matches that day.
Yeah, 8. That's definitely I think a record for our school for one competitor. That's a good thing about white belts, you know, like there's so many of them who want to show up and test themselves, so you get a pretty deep talent pool. Meanwhile, you've got 2 brown belts and a black belt behind the camera and coaching for this match.
Right.
Who didn't compete that day.
Yeah, the pressure is relentless. Like, I mean, I know all of us, even in the chat and everything, have been there, but it's just not a fun time.
Yeah, in that front headlock position, he's weighing down so heavily.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy could have done something with that, you know, stepping around to try to capture that leg, at least break him back down.
He was definitely trying for it, but like, so this is one thing that I've seen Mitch do quite a lot, and just from like, Damien, now part of B team, but from like a wrestling standpoint, like people shooting on that, the way that you can wizard, like you basically can either wizard down or just literally put your hand on their head and push them down.
Yeah.
And turn away from them, try to drive your knee.
Yeah, it's like a running man escape on a single, basically.
It is, yeah, and I see that a lot. In fact, yeah.
Just get off of me, man.
Yeah. In fact, to where I've seen people like turn and then pressure down by sitting on their opponent, like sitting on the shoulder and pushing on the head.
Yeah, I've had to do that with Luke before, just to get off when he's got a low single, you know, 2-on-1 on my ankle or something. Just kind of sit back and wait for him to change his grip or something. 4 points on the back. Can't see if he's crossing his legs here. Doesn't look like it. That's good. Don't want to see that.
Yeah.
At least not at his level.
He almost had that head and arm too.
Yeah, I had a chance for it.
Good on the guy on the bottom for recognizing it.
Yeah.
That was
All right, I think that's I don't think we got the end of that, or maybe that was time and that was
it. Yeah.
the end of that match on points. So yeah, good stuff overall from Mitch. That was an excellent showing for his first jiu-jitsu competition.